We are live. We are live. Welcome to the Money GPS Live. Thank you for coming in today. Another day, another live. Get everything set up on my end. Welcome to the channel, everybody. All right. Getting everything going here. Hope everyone is well today. Good stuff. Got the Instagram. All right. Okay. I think we're good. Excellent. We got lots of people coming on in. 81 people already. Instagram, people are popping up. Good stuff. He always tells the truth because he lives here. It is not a crisis till the U.S. media tells it's a crisis. Yes, that's right. There is no recession. Like the recession of 2020 lasted, what was it, 1 month? So 2 months maybe? Sure. Hello from Sweden. Awesome. It's got to be late there. Or is it early? Thank you for coming on in. What's up, Brian? Doing good, doing good. Spain in the house. Lebanon? For real? What's the power like? We got to know what's going on. What's the situation? Let us know. Put it right here. Put it right here and I'll pop it up on the screen. We want to know what's going on. Cambodia, welcome in. We got people from all around the world. This is incredible. Incredible, incredible. Hello, hello. Thank you for coming on in. Came here for the truth. Yes, that's right. The like button. Everybody, don't forget to hit that like button. Appreciate it. Brazil, southern Spain. Dollar General store is sold out in Mississippi. Like everything in the store? Is that what you mean? It's crazy. 3 a.m. where you are? Wow. From Canada, good stuff. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Tractor production is up. I'm sure it is. Stuck on the container ship? Yes, I am stuck out here in the middle. Hello, hello. All right, good stuff. 98 watching, 26 likes. The likes are growing. The likes are growing. People are coming in left, right, and center. So obviously, I want to talk about what's happening in Lebanon for those who don't know. And if we can get, there we go. Barely any power from the state. It's all local generators. Crazy. So people are plunged into darkness. And look at what's happening all over the place, right? Europe is feeling it too. Extremely high prices. Things are getting worse. They're saying the power, the whole power grid is being strained. You saw the problems in the US as well. Texas was down for one reason. California had all these fires. All of these different things could affect you in different ways for different reasons. But what in the end does it matter? What does it matter to you? Number one, are you going to pay much higher prices? It looks like it's likely. The second thing, are you going to be able to get what you need? Whether that is food, whether that's your electricity, energy of some sort. All of these things are basic. If you don't get the new iPhone because it's a delay from China or whatever, who cares? But if you can't get basic essentials, if you can't heat your home and it's January or December or something, you're going to be you're going to freeze, you're going to be in trouble, you're going to starve, you need the water. All of these things are so key, so important, and yet most people, they let it pass by because it's, who cares? Let somebody else take care of it. But we shouldn't talk like that. We shouldn't be like that. So people are losing their jobs. I'm waiting for the CBDCs to be introduced as a solution. Yes, I can't talk about that issue here on the channel, but I could certainly put that up there for people. There's, governments are there to take away liberty. That's the purpose of them. So thank you for the support as well. Gold long bottled water, candles, batteries, canned food, stuff is about to happen. I do agree with that. It's already happening. You know, I keep doing these videos about the economic collapse. It comes in different forms from, you know, multiple levels as well. And I don't think people, a lot of people, I know you guys do, but a lot of people, they don't understand economy and stock market. Two different things, okay? Two different things altogether. But I see them being, you know, used interchangeably, and that's completely wrong. The economy is the job situation, the real job situation. What's happening with, you know, consumers and all of this stuff. The stock market is a bunch of numbers on a screen. Totally different. So when I'm talking about a crisis, I'm talking about real people and how that affects you. The stock market, you know, it could have relation. It could. Ultimately, if people are buying more and using more of a company's services or products, okay, then it has a reason to go up. If they don't use it anymore, reason to go down. Yeah, I get that. But when I talk about them, it's usually very separate. So I think that's key to understand. Power grid problems, yeah, all over the place. Indiana, 80 degrees, should have gotten first frost or soon anyways. Yeah, depends on where you are. Some areas are too cold, some areas are too hot. The great blackout, I do believe that there's some serious problems right now all over the place. Gas prices creeping up here. Yes. Ice storm 1998 Ontario. There was one not that long ago, a few years ago, that was pretty bad as well. You just uploaded already within 1 minute. You have a dislike? Yes. Who is in the house that gave the dislike? Just come on. Don't be. If you're in here and actually watching, please let me know. Let's talk. I mean, I have people who subscribe. I do have subscribers, a group of them actually, that subscribe just to give the thumbs down. I find it completely absurd. I think it's really weird because I think your time is probably best suited elsewhere, doing other things. But some people, I don't know. For whatever reason, I mean, probably childhood trauma or something. You know, they need an outlet. They need to vent, and giving a thumbs down gives satisfaction. I'm sure that I'm not the only person they give thumbs down to. But if you're here in the house, let me know. All right, tons and tons. We got 300 people in the house already. Crazy. That's great. 119 likes. What's going on, guys? Come on. Is the button broken? It's right down here. Don't forget to hit that like button. All right. Northern BC, Fresno. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Susan's in the house from Louisiana. Welcome, welcome. Melbourne, Australia. I've heard some crazy stuff. Unfortunate. Montreal's in the house. All right. See what we got. So what my biggest concerns right now is what's happening with inflation. The inflation is coming from all directions. Underlying all of that, clearly, you have the central bank and their activities. That's for sure. At the same time, you've got the government, you know, stimulus measures pumping in money from all directions. This is ridiculous. The fact that they do this is just, you know, they are there to help you, but ultimately it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the real people. Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate that. Chaz, welcome. The dollar has not lost 97% of its value between 1965 and today. $1 equals 3 cents. In 1965, minimum wage was 1965 minimum wage in 1965 is $1.25. Minimum wage today is $7.25. Minimum wage today is equal to $38. Yeah. It's crazy when you look at what's happened with assets, like how much real estate costs, and then you compare that to the average wage. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's clearly, like, if you take it from 1971, it makes a lot of sense. If you take all of these stats, all of this data, Compare it from 1971 specifically, when they were removed from the gold standard. The whole world was removed from the gold standard. This just, it didn't make a single ounce of sense, other than the fact that, you know, for the average person. The average person has lost so much. What's going on in Lebanon right now? In Lebanon, most of the country is experiencing a power outage. I can actually show you. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's connect into the, show you this, share the screen. They're saying the entire country, but we have somebody in the house right now from Lebanon saying it's not everywhere precisely, but you know, it is a problem. You could see it right here. Dark ages, Lebanon plunges into total darkness as the entire country without light, heat, or energy in mass blackout amid fuel crisis. This is huge. The Mediterranean country is battling one of the planet's worst economic crunches since the 1850s in the wake of last year's devastating blast that leveled a huge part of the capital of Beirut. Now, I've seen the videos before. Indigo Traveler had gone there, documented what he saw, and it wasn't, it was obviously certain areas devastated, but, just like any country, whatever they're dealing with, you got to still work. You've got your family. You got to do things. So it's not like all stuff just stops and they wait for things to be rebuilt and back to normal to get things on. No, you got to, life moves ahead. You got to do what you got to do. So Chaz is saying, good time to accumulate more gold and silver right now. They're the only things that haven't gone up. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Just to see gold and silver is so unloved, really. Being asked, hi, I got a question. Does drop shipping model work on Amazon? No. Drop shipping doesn't work on Amazon. They don't want you to do drop shipping on Amazon. You can do fulfillment by merchant. So you keep, for example, you buy, I don't know, something on sale, let's say a heater. You buy a heater on sale at Walmart, and you get that for cheap, and then you could resell it to somebody on Amazon. But you can't do the drop shipping model where you've got products being made in China, you don't buy them at all, somebody buys them from you on Amazon, and then you order that from Alibaba or AliExpress and then have them ship it to the United States. That doesn't work. Can't do that on Amazon. You need to use Shopify for that. How much do you think the real inflation level is in the USA? I think, so people will give you different numbers, but I actually look at it a little bit differently. To me, it depends on what the person uses, what kind of services these people are using. And so if you, for instance, let's just say education costs have gone up. Okay, but let's say your school is done. You finished school 30 years ago and you don't have children. So you won't experience the inflation and the fact that the tuition prices have gone up hundreds of %. So it's hard to give a precise number. Okay, I don't see people looking at that directly. Like, for instance, animal products have gone up considerably because of the processing of them. But if the person doesn't eat animal products, they wouldn't see the inflation on those items. So it's hard to get a precise number, but it's certainly much, much higher than what they tell us. The only way to get a truly accurate number is to measure the things that you had last year. What does it cost this year? That's really the only way. You got to make that determination for yourself. It's probably double of whatever official statistic they're giving us. It's usually an easy way to look at it. Precious metals are totally manipulated on the COMEX by you-know-who. That's right, they are, 100%. GATA, if you want to look up the manipulation, particularly of gold, but, I mean, this documentation goes, it's well documented. You can look at it from GATA. GATA will give you some real good details. Central bank digital currency is coming, 100%. It is coming. They're pushing for it. I did a video not that long ago, and I included the chart just showing you the different countries and what stage they are. Are they just looking into it? Are they beta testing it? Have they dropped it? But they're all going for it. Thank you. Thank you, Susan, for the support as always. The USA is the only country surrounded by cargo ships waiting to offloaders everywhere. It's concerning me, seems suspicious. So you can look at a website called Marine Traffic, and that's going to actually show you where all the ships are right now, live. It's not 100% accurate, but it's very good. I would say it's probably 99 point something percent accurate. So I would check that out, and you can actually see for yourself exactly where they are. Really good resource, Marine Traffic. And then just to give you an idea, there's actually more ships. So despite the fact that there's so many ships around LA Long Beach, that's one of the busiest ports in the world, if not the busiest. Right now, there's actually more ships off the coast in China. So, it's a problem everywhere. What is the best province? Thank you for support, by the way. What is the best province in Canada? What do you think about the Pacific Northwest for living? Would you pick DC really or Midwest for living? The best province in Canada. That's a difficult one. I mean, the West Coast is obviously beautiful. The West Coast of Canada is obviously beautiful. It's obviously beautiful. It would be similar to, what you got in probably Oregon, Washington, that kind of vibe. What I don't like about it is they're obviously pushing even further for carbon taxes and this and that. They're definitely ahead if you want to look at it like that in that respect. Ontario's kind of the hub, the financial hub, ridiculously overpriced homes. If you go to the East Coast, it's a lot more, the houses are much cheaper. You don't have real big cities. Then you go into the prairies. The problem with, some areas, it's real cold. It's real cold. That's the thing. Where was that again? In the Northwest. Okay, it's hard to say because it depends on your particular situation. You gotta start asking yourself this question: am I moving myself or am I moving my family? Okay, once you got that information, all right, what am I after? Am I after childcare, healthcare, good services, and accessibility, or am I going to be? Where am I working? That's another factor too. Am I working online, or do I need a job? Are there jobs in this area? Where can I go? All these questions matter and determine these, where you would want to go. But I would say in general, no matter where you are around the world, the first thing, the most important factor is actually that you are not in the big city. If you are in the big city and that's your only place of living, you got a city home, even if the suburbs are not good because it's basically just a city, but you get an extra 10 or 20 feet on your lot. I would say that these are the places that are going to be the most dangerous, disruptions, mass disruptions of all kinds. So if you're staying away from the concentrated locations, then you're just going to be better off. And that's why I say everybody should be prepared in some way. Like you could be in an urban environment, could be, and you've got a beautiful backyard with tons of food, and you've got solar panels on the roof, maybe battery power, you've got a backup generator or something. Like you can be like pretty prepared, definitely better than all your neighbors, which is part of the dangerous part. But there's a lot of factors there. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. I hope that answers your question. You got to figure it out for sure based on your own circumstances. And I think that being prepared ultimately, like does this area you want to move to give you that level of preparedness which you seek? Some people are like, don't care. Don't care about being prepared. I have no interest in it. I've talked to people about gardens and having fruit trees and all this, and it's too much work. It's too much work. I'm like, yeah, but that way you have accessibility to the food, and not interested. And that's fine, right? What can you do? But I think it's important personally for me. So you got to look at that as well. Cold environments, you can still grow food in a cold environment. Don't let anybody fool you. Look at a channel called 1 Yard Revolution. 1 Yard Revolution is in Chicago. It grows right through the year. You just got to choose the right crops, and he does a good job of it. So, and there's Curtis Stone, who I believe is in British Columbia, and he's grown. So you can do it no matter what location you're in. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. M1 Money has been parabolic since September 2019. That's correct. But don't worry, because it's just a technical adjustment. Okay. Technical adjustment. Do you think we'll see a big crash this month? Yeah, so absolutely. This is always a talk for October. What's going to happen in October? Is it going to be this and that? Nobody really knows ultimately what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. But there are many forecasters saying we are well overvalued. Now you look at, we've already come down quite a bit. They were calling for a 5 to 10% correction. Apple stock at the peak, I believe, was down about 12%. So that, for a big stock like that, 12% is a lot when you think about it, right? So I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Less grass, more food. I agree. Grows in the snow. You need to have a hoop house or greenhouse. Okay, hoop house is like a cheap version of a greenhouse. It has to be double layered, and you could literally have snow coming down, and you could still grow the food. Now it's going to grow slower, no doubt, than it would grow in the summer, but you can do it. 1 Yard Revolution. Welcome everybody on Instagram. Hello. Ice Age Farmer, I've heard of him. Hi David, I just tried to post something about those Bank of England 2018 crisis advisor guys prognosticating the US economy and the PC. I was using Blue Up, it crashed and I had to hard reset it. No worries. No worries. Yeah, there was that part of the report I showed yesterday. That was interesting. Or actually, I said yesterday because I record the day before and then it posts in the morning. Toronto or Montreal? Gotta say, sorry to all my Montreal fans, but the Habs are going down. All right? No, I'm just kidding. Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won in like 60 years. Culture, finance, and jobs, Ontario. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of jobs. There's no question about that. Tons. Prairies are cold, yeah. Just to give you an idea, like the prairies, I heard from somebody that lived in Calgary, I think it was, saying if your eyes are watering too much and you keep the eye closed at the deepest, the coldest part of the winter, like you got to watch because your eyelashes will stick together. That's how intense it could be. So How is Lebanon out of oil when it's so near the OPEC countries? Is it a money issue? So they ran out of fuel. I had it here. I haven't read the article yet. You can't see it on my screen right now, but it just says basically Lebanon has been plunged into total darkness as 6 million people were left without energy as power stations run out of fuel. So that's huge. I think maybe I haven't done too much work into tomorrow's post yet, tomorrow's video. So perhaps I will do it about that. We'll see. I want to dig in and try to give you the best information, but I should definitely include it. So stay tuned for that. I will give you some info, okay? A lot of people are, they're more interested. So some people are interested in the stock stuff and other people are interested in, hey, just let me know what's going on. I watched the Money GPS to get, a 10 or 15 minute synopsis of what's going on today with the economy, a little bit of stocks, a little bit of this and that. And it's kind of like, just like I say, like an aggregating of the data. If you guys appreciate that, let me know. Over the years, I've been learning more about all the different pieces of technical analysis, and I could bring that to people, but it's hard to distill that information down, like just give little tidbits without going through the whole breakdown. So it makes it difficult for people who aren't really interested in it. But I try to, sprinkle that in when I can. Websites to track international energy usage. What do you think about that? If I remember, I'll let you know. I may have seen. Let me think about that. Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation. I don't know why there's a weird thing about Bitcoin being a hedge against inflation. I just don't understand why. Like, what gives somebody the idea that's a fact? I'm not saying that it won't do well. Like, we could have a serious problem. The problem here is that we don't necessarily know that we're going to go into a deflation first. What if it's deflation then hyperinflation? What's going to happen to Bitcoin? I personally believe all these hedge funds and institutionals, they're going to sell their Bitcoin before they sell their Apple stock. How are they going to justify it to their investors? Oh, by the way, we sold our Apple stock, but we kept into the Bitcoin thing. They're going to be upset. They're going to be real upset. That's the way I look at it anyway. So, but it doesn't mean that it can't continue to go up. Like, it absolutely could. But I don't see it as a hedge against inflation. I really don't. Because they say it's a deflationary asset. I get that. But that doesn't mean that, you won't see billions leaving it because people get scared or whatever. Like, look what happens. China sneezes and suddenly the whole world is selling off their Bitcoin, it seems. But the people who love Bitcoin don't sell their Bitcoin, right? Chaz, you're saying some, those are some serious words there. Chaz is saying Bitcoin is almost better than gold. That's bold. That is bold. Prices for rent on Instagram here. Prices for rent in out apartments in Austin have risen $500 or more in the past 4 months. Crazy. 30% increase. That's unbelievable because there's such a demand. Austin is one of those cities where a lot of the jobs moved in. Wherever the jobs moved in, guess what happened to the real estate prices? Guess what happened to the rents and everything? They went up crazy. And we're seeing that. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. There are so many comments here. Energy website across the world tracking is data.world. Data.world? Let's see how that goes. Let's see if I'll Data.world. Is that a website? But it's not free. Oh yeah, $50,000 annual. Okay. I'm sure there's one that I've seen. I'm sure there's one that I've seen that gives some, not the obviously the full details, but Chaz is saying Bitcoin will become increasingly more important to the world in the coming years. It might certainly be. More people are getting into it, more businesses are getting into it for different reasons. Steve is saying your broad spectrum of what you talk about is outstanding. Don't change a thing. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. My only trouble was trying to get sponsors. I had one sponsor, reached out to many, one sponsor. So ultimately, if not enough people are watching, then, it's just unfortunate. So we'll see anyway. On the live, welcome, welcome. People are arguing. I can see between both the Instagram and the YouTube, Facebook. Certain people dislike the gold. Other people dislike the Bitcoin, and there's a battle between the two. Personally, I don't think there's any reason to have a battle, because my opinion is that you should never have one asset. You should have as many assets as you possibly can. And each one has its own benefits. Like, think about it for a second here. If you got paper assets, the advantage is you can distribute them really quickly. You can distribute them internationally. They're relatively easy to purchase. With a couple taps on your phone, you could start buying stocks. Okay. You look at real estate. Real estate, you can have cash flow, you can have the appreciation, you can have depreciation, you can have taxes, amortization. All these different factors combined make it incredible. Does it have downsides? Every asset has downsides. Business, the forgotten asset class, where you can legitimately get, if you have a business, you can legitimately pay no taxes if you're doing this right. You're scaling it. Imagine you build a business, build, take no profits from this business for 5 years, 10 years. You just keep building it out, and doing it in such a way that you're expanding every year. So technically, you're not making any money at this point, but at the very end of it all, you sell and take a big payday. Now, how does that sound? Sounds pretty good to me. A nice big payday. Dan, what's going on? Welcome, welcome. I'm throwing my money at a farm. Yeah. A lot of people are doing that. Love your vids. Very informative. Thank you. Absolutely. Appreciate you being here. Paper gold or somebody. There it is. Paper gold or real gold. Paper gold is not a thing. You can do like a swing trade if you think, okay, for the next week or whatever, gold's going to do well. You can get into a swing trade, but it's not gold. It's just, if you want to take advantage of, maybe you think, okay, for the next, I don't know, month, it's going to do well, or you think that gold's going to do well for the next 2 months or whatever it might be, short term, then you can do that. But if you want to actually have gold, you have to physically have the gold. Dan, tell me what's going on. What are you seeing on the ground? On the ground in Toronto. I heard the path. Dan, I don't know if you've gone downtown Toronto. The path apparently has nothing there. There's nothing in the path. Can you confirm that at all? Everything is shut down. I've seen the videos of it, but who knows when that's from. Nope, you can't confirm it. Awesome, thanks. All right. Thank you very much. 1030 United States yield. How much globally is effective? Is it effective versus equities? Sorry, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by this. With the 1030 United States yield, how much globally is it effective versus equities? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Can you clarify that? I'm looking for your question here. If you put it up in the comment section, I'll look at that. If anybody knows, if you're saying basically bonds or stocks, is that what you're saying? Oh yeah, kids in school. Yeah, it's I think Toronto got hit hard personally, and the longer this goes on, the stay-at-home work from home kind of thing, I think Toronto's going to be hit real hard. I think we haven't seen the worst of it. A lot of the big cities where you got that strong downtown core, and now suddenly it's hollowed out, jobs are affected by that. A lot of the businesses, and you would know about this, a lot of the businesses going from multiple buildings or multiple floors down to fewer floors, fewer buildings. You know, are they going to get people to fill in, or businesses to fill in those take over the leases, or simply get into a new lease? I don't know. And it's going to be for the same price. He's talking about gold versus equities. Let's see. I gotta look for that comment. Now I don't see it. Okay, let me put this up here. I don't see your name. There we go. Yes, bonds. Bonds? Yeah, so I think that the reason why you would want to own bonds right now, the way I look at bonds, is to look at Ray Dalio's all-weather portfolio. It is very clear to me. That's the reason why you would want to own them. And why is this? Because in downturns, you actually lose a considerable amount of money. So if you're going to hold long-term, you're going to lose money during the next crash. Everybody will. Okay, if you're holding long, basically everything goes down. A lot of stuff goes down. But the bonds are guaranteed, whatever you want to call that. So you are going to be able to at least keep part of your portfolio growing. And that's the reason why some would include it. But in terms of a portfolio built around bonds, it is extremely, like, in general, it's not advised. It's not advised just because you're not going to get the yield. Okay, because a lot of these different bonds are really, really low. Like the yield on them is so low that it's really not worth it. And in my opinion, you're taking a risk, although it is guaranteed. Oh, thank you again for the support. Yes, bonds up in the U.S. versus global. Okay, I see what you're saying. Global, I'm more concerned about the global bonds than I am about the U.S. I will definitely say that as well. Not that the U.S. doesn't have problems. Trust me, they've got a lot of problems. I just think that a lot of the other countries, like if you look at what happened in 2020, every country started selling off, but the U.S. didn't feel it, and they were like the last one. And then things came down in the U.S. So I think that the same thing could happen next time too. It is absolutely possible. So you see weakness in these different countries, and then as a result, money starts fleeing these other countries, goes into U.S. treasuries, goes into U.S. debt, goes into the dollar. I think that's not guaranteed, of course, but it is certainly possible. So that's the way I look at it. But just in general, like as a portfolio, I don't want to include too many bonds in my portfolio because why? It is simply not going to get you the yield. I would rather have my money, this is me personally, in a business. That's just me, because I have more control over it. A lot of businesses will outlast these governments. Like, is Greece really able to pay their bills? I don't think so. How are they doing it right now? I don't know. The charade is still continuing. But a lot of these countries here, they're just not going to be able to afford it. They're going to default. They're going to default on their bonds. The U.S. is going to default in terms of, they're going to hyperinflate the currency. That seems like the most likely scenario. So they'll default in the sense that they're paying you back with confetti. So I kind of weigh that out, right? Globally, in a global sense, the world has some good areas, but I mean, look at what you would consider to be safe. Maybe you're going to go, Switzerland or Germany. The return is negative. Now, if it's negative 0.1 or 0.5, and that you got your return was 0.5, negative 0.5%, and the stock market came down by 50% that year, you'd feel pretty good because you got pretty much the same amount of money minus inflation that you started with. But there's a lot to consider in that. You want that diversification. If you want, you can check out Ray Dalio all-weather portfolio. If you do a search online for that, he'll show you the breakdown. Not he will, but they show you the breakdown of what the portfolio is roughly. And you can get an idea of what is a much more diversified portfolio than many believe. But at the same time, we got to look outside of those asset classes. When they talk about commodities, you're talking about paper commodities, okay? So I think people should, if they want to invest, they should be have a long-term portfolio, but also have a short-term portfolio and learn how to swing trade. Because I think that could be a skill that benefits them. A small amount of the total, but it could benefit. Thank you, thank you. Lebanon already defaulted and devalued its currency. I think Lebanon's a canary in the coal mine. It absolutely could be. I've been talking about it for a while, and I think it is important. Sure, it's not the size of the economy isn't the United States, but it tells us a lot. It tells us a lot about what can happen. There's clearly a big crisis, and it's not something that happens overnight either. People are waiting for this major event to just happen and everything changes. It's not necessarily going to be like that, no matter where you are. In New York, many believe they will not be exposed to gas shortages. This winter could be hard on the grid. Thoughts on preparation? 100%. It's going to be problems everywhere. In terms of preparation, simple things. Real simple things. I believe that you should have some sort of water filtration, like a Berkey filter. Why? It doesn't require power. And it's a fantastic filter. Second thing is if you can grow some food, do it. 100%. Do it. But also, just have extra bags of rice. Just have extra cans of beans and things. You're going to eat it. It's just a matter of storing extra. And all that does is lock in today's price, because with the inflation, that's going to be higher. It's going to be higher. So you're buying the stuff today, and you're going to eat it tomorrow. That's it. Those are the easiest things. It makes so much sense to me. Is it a bad time to get a loan for a rental property? Not necessarily. I mean, if it cash flows, if you're in the US, especially because you can lock that in for a long term on your loan. It has to cash flow. It has to be cash flow positive. That's the way I look at real estate property. Has to cash flow positive. I'm divesting myself of most of my cash. I'm buying up actual physical silver, starting with my retirement accounts. Good stuff. Thank you for the support. I've heard many people doing this over the years, saying, I don't want that stuff. I don't want the cash. I don't want the retirement account, the traditional 401k with the mutual funds and all that. I'm just going to do this on my own. I'm going to have precious metals instead for the stability, for the security. I think that's a good thing to do. My opinion is don't put all your eggs in one basket, just because if the price comes down significantly, you might be kicking yourself as a result. But having some money in different asset classes is, you're going to be happy about it. You're always going to be happy about it. Will there be a gold-backed digital currency? I don't think that they're talking about China is going to use the gold-backed digital currency. This is going to be it. That's why they've been buying up so much gold and all this stuff. I don't see that happening. And if it is it audited? Is it really gold-backed? I mean, are we serious right now? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so. They talk about it a lot. This is going to be the next big thing. Yeah. Does it ever materialize? No. So I don't think so personally, but I purchased a freeze dryer, been stacking potatoes, au gratin, and Wolf brand chili by the bagful. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, freeze dryer. 25 years. You can get probably 25 years, maybe 10 years, 25 years, depending. Incredible. And the thing is like, you can eat. It's not that you can't eat it, right? You can just eat that tomorrow if you want to. So there's no loss. You're just buying it at today's price. That's all. Beans and things. Yeah. Beans and things. Billy is saying long oil. It's at $80 a barrel now. It's going up and up and up. Hurricane Laura taught me many lessons on being prepared. Yeah. And see, that's the thing is like, nobody's going to sit there and tell you to be prepared. Nobody's going to hold your hand and do it. We just got to do it. We just got to do it. And hopefully before a crisis, before we really need to. And then if stuff happens, it happens. There's a channel called Well Your World. And it's like, whatever, channel, it's not important. But it's essentially the guy shows his whole basement and he's got his pantry there. And he just got buckets and buckets and buckets of all these different grains and beans and legumes and all this different stuff. And he said, when 2020 came, I didn't change anything I was doing. I didn't have to go out and rush to the store and buy all this stuff because I already just had it just because that's my lifestyle. And so I thought that was awesome. Thought it was awesome. It's good stuff. Seriously, dude, the ones who bought in near zero, tapped out when it hit $60,000 and are trillionaires. We're talking about Bitcoin? What are you saying with trillionaires? I'm confused. Well worth the price. Really opens up new foods you can't have preserved otherwise. Good stuff. Basmati rice for life. Good stuff. I think there's a battle going on and I can't tell what's happening here. I think there's a battle going on in the comments, but I wanted to thank everybody, by the way, since you're here. 50 minutes in. Yesterday we got cut off at about an hour. I hope that doesn't happen today. But anyway, regardless if it does, I'll be back here tomorrow. We are 49 minutes in. I'm going to try to go for at least an hour and 15 minutes. 476 people in the house right now. 6,500 people have been in and out of the place. So I want to thank you all. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button right in here, or give the thumbs down if you want. It's right over there. Thumbs down, thumbs up, whatever you like. It's all good. All right, we're getting a comment about thoughts on cryptos versus metals. I don't think like one or the other. I think each asset class has its own advantages and disadvantages. That's the way I look at it. If you want to see my video about crypto, you can type in the crypto GPS and you'll get it. It'll come up. It'll explain the way I see it. And you can also look at gold, the money GPS. I've got a couple videos back from 2020 that I kind of, my thoughts about it haven't changed since then. So it's really the same information. There should be 2 videos about gold, like something like it's in my e-course. Anyway, you can check that out. The playlist on my channel related to gold, and it just kind of something like, should I buy gold? Something like that. Kind of explains it. What do you think of real estate for investment with what's going on? I think it's still good. I mean, look at these areas like Florida that are absolutely booming in every way. Even the commercial real estate is doing really well. So certain areas are just doing good. Yeah, like in some places, there's the eviction moratoriums. There's just problems left, right, and center. Like people aren't paying up and you can't do anything as a landlord. That's creating a problem for the landlords. And, you know, if the economy's not doing well, rents might fall, like the actual values of the places might fall. So, you know, there are many problems. But that's, real estate could be, I wrote about it in my first book, saying real estate potentially is the best possible asset class because it makes money in 4 different ways. So most of the time, most people, they wait for appreciation. There's just one way. If you look for stocks that have dividends, you can have 2 ways, right? You get the dividend, the cash flow, but most people just reinvest it, so they don't get that. And the second thing, obviously, is the appreciation itself. But when you have real estate, you may actually not need to pay any taxes whatsoever. So you can have ways to produce income and never pay a dime in taxes. One of those ways is by doing a cash out refinance. So you can pull the equity out of the property, put it into your bank account. You're renegotiating the mortgage. The rent, the tenant is paying that property down, and that's not a taxable event. That's not a taxable event. That's it. You took the money out of that property, out of that asset. Think about it. If you're 7 shares of Amazon, okay, they are worth, let's just use an example, they're worth $7. And I take, if I could, I extract $3 or $4 of that $7. Well, you would think they're going to have to pay tax on my 7 shares of Amazon, obviously. But you're not selling the 7 shares of Amazon. You're taking some of the equity that has built into it out. So this is one of the ways that people just make so much money. It's ridiculous. So, but there are downsides, just like anything else. Real estate has downsides. There's a lot of talking back and forth going on in the chat right here. We've been going on almost an hour now, so I want to thank everybody for being here. If you got questions for me, let me know. Make sure you're kind of letting me know that this is a question for me, because I see a lot of comments back and forth from everybody. I like palladium, but don't know much about how to sell it. If anybody has any particular recommendations, there's always, like with any of these assets, whether it's oil, whether it's precious metals, whatever, a lot of people are going in through the ETF because it's simple. It's a couple clicks and they're buying these up. Other people go, like, it depends. Do you want the physical thing or do you want something that represents the physical thing? You can get an ETF, but sometimes people like the companies. So the mining companies or the companies that benefit from, that particular asset or that metal, that commodity or what have you. So it all depends. Your thoughts on commodities, base metals, and the green future. So commodities, I've done a lot of videos about this, talking about this on almost every video. It's looking right now that in some respects, it's beyond what we saw in 2008, and it continues to get crazier, which is unbelievable. But that's where we are today. Base metals, so let me just split this up here. When you're looking at the industrial metals, copper has come down a little bit off its high. You look at iron ore and what has happened. That's another problem because it has come down a lot. What's happening here? Number one is you got speculation behind it. Look at what happened with lumber. There was no need for lumber to ever be at 1700, but yes, it was. Where it is now is still elevated, certainly is. But you have fundamental factors, and then you also have the speculation. So traders are going to push the price up of any of these things if they start to see it go and the momentum's there, they're going to buy in. So that is a problem. In terms of precious metals, I think precious metals are great, and what I would say is when all else fails, then they turn to gold. And this is important because if you just understand the way the cycle works, it's going to go, like the higher the stock market goes, the less attractive gold becomes, even though you might say, look, things are crazy today. Why isn't gold going higher? It's just fallen out of favor because people are looking for yield. So a lot of people don't care or whatever. All right. Thank you guys for coming in on Instagram. Grow food, generate power, collect water. These are the ABCs of prepping. Yes, they are. All right. Question, do you think if power outages become more common, does Bitcoin go way, way down and gold goes up? Bitcoin needs power, gold you can hold. I think it would have to be a lot of, the power situation would need to be very consistent. Like if this is the new thing, I mean, just look at countries like Venezuela, for instance, that are dealing with power outages all the time. Iran, they have the same thing. There's constant like rolling blackouts and things, and Bitcoin is still more popular than it's ever been. So it would have to be, I would think, really, really significant. Like just the power is just not coming on. So I guess it all depends. So there's a question on Instagram. I'll answer it. And then in 1 minute and 50 seconds, this is going to cut off because after an hour it cuts off. So I will come right back on. So it'll close down and then I'll come right back. How will governments ever pay off all the debt? They won't, and they will hyperinflate their currency into confetti. So if you got some paper currency at home, you've got future confetti. So if you see value in the confetti, you can hold on to that because that'll be your own. Or you can transfer the cash, confetti, into an asset, and then it could provide you with something later, maybe. Is Cuba going to adopt more free market economics soon? You would hope so. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like, what are they trying to do? I don't understand. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff going on internally, and there's stuff that we don't get to hear about, but it's just silly. Both sides should be talking to each other. There's no excuse. Dave, what do you think of Africa with what the agriculture, especially organic boom in East Africa, America, it seems done when it comes to agra? Depends. I mean, I think one of the problems with agriculture in the US is like, we're going to make all these soybeans so that we can then sell them off to China when the US, in my opinion, has its own problems that they should be feeding their own people, not soybeans, but what they actually want. Okay, Instagram, I'm coming back. 1 second. Like, there's absolutely no good reason why it's happening to that degree, except for the fact that, we'll make sure, like with the whole tariffs and all that, they were saying, we will make sure that you are getting, China's purchasing your soybeans and all this stuff. That's ridiculous. Okay, if there's demand, like if that product can be grown in the United States, it should be grown and transported throughout the United States. We should be purchasing, and the system should be set up as locally as possible for many factors, for health factors, for logistics problems. We're seeing that today. Stuff has to move from one place to another. It takes forever. It's more expensive and so on. So, but specifically with Africa, I don't have any words about that specifically. But they can absolutely do much better than they are in general, depending on the country. Each one has its own issues. But there's no reason why it was such a resource rich countries in Africa that they should be doing very well. It's not any different when you look at it like Venezuela. What is it? The first or second largest oil reserves? They're growing them in Ghana and Uganda. Is this... I can't see if there was another comment in there. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about it, to be honest with you. But agriculture, number one, the prices are going sky high. So it's good to be an exporter of them right now. And at the same time, it's something of real value. It's something of real value that people want when times are tough, or when times are good. You still need the agriculture. All right. I'm going to go for about 15 more minutes. Will the Fed adopt crypto? I think they'll do their own central bank digital currency. Yes. Will they do like one of the private coins? Will they link themselves with XRP? I don't think so. What will come first, a crash or hyperinflation? Difficult to tell. Difficult to tell. The Federal Reserve is purposely ignoring inflation, which leads me to believe that they want to create hyperinflation. That's crazy. It would be very disorderly. Hyperinflation is very, very chaotic. It is extremely disruptive. A deflation would be much better. It would be much better than hyperinflation, despite the fact that deflation will wipe a lot of people and businesses out, a lot of jobs lost, and so on. I actually think that the better situation is deflation. Awesome. Thank you very much for the support. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. They want to create hyperinflation. It seems very much to be the case, right? Doesn't it? They're just saying, like, other countries are increasing their interest rates and they're saying, okay, we got this inflation problem, but the Federal Reserve is saying, no, there's no inflation. It's just transitory. It's just temporary. I mean, every other country they're saying it's weird. It's honestly, it's really strange. Thanks for the daily news content. Appreciate you being here. Thank you. Thank you for watching it. This show is probably sponsored by the Rothschilds. It is. It is, yeah. Lord Rothschild. I have a direct line into the Rothschilds. They, they're generous to me. GPS is making baller money from the Rothschilds. Yeah. Okay. It's a red hotline phone like Batman. Isn't Batman? Was it Batman that had that red phone? Thanks to people like you, I'm prepared for collapse of the food chains. Excellent. Good stuff. So important. This is how you know all the facts. Yeah, they give me a direct scoop. Coming late, we're talking about Lebanon, what's happening in Lebanon. I can show you really quickly if I share my screen over here. Okay, just close my pictures of Janet Yellen. All right, here we go. We got Lebanon. This is the streets of Lebanon. Dark ages, Lebanon plunges into total darkness as entire country without light, heat, or energy in mass blackout amid fuel crisis. And then they said right here, Lebanon has been plunged into total darkness as 6 million people were left without power or energy as power stations run out of fuel. The Mediterranean country is battling one of the planet's worst economic crunches since the 1850s in the wake of last year's devastating blast that leveled a huge part of the capital, Beirut. So it depends on who you ask, of course. Some would say, it's not a huge problem. Others would say this is real devastating right now to us. You don't know exactly who to believe. I'm not there to document it personally, but based on the situation, it's real tough. It's getting worse. Sean, first of all, thank you very much for the support. My favorite deli sandwich just increased by 15% and everything is going up by at least 10%. But that can't be. How could that possibly be if the food inflation is at, what was it last time? I don't know, 2%, 3%, whatever. It's so nonsense. Honestly, it's really, really garbage when I see that. And it's actually, people should be upset. People should be real upset at the Federal Reserve when they're using the calculations. They're saying economy's not doing well. We got to print more money. Job situation not doing good, got to print more money. I mean, they're devaluing their currency. They're creating these problems in the first place. Before 2020 happened, they were already printing more currency than ever before in history. In those few months leading up to QE5, printing more money than ever in history. All right. In the end, Jim Rogers is correct about commodities. You got to eat, water your plants, and sleep somewhere. Security might have to be included. It is true. Fundamentally, those are the most important factors. But I think people are always saying, well, for example, the power situation. So there's a huge shift of going from whatever it is, let's just say coal, and the shift is going to, clean sources of energy, wind power, solar power, whatever. And people are just kind of laying back and either complaining, saying, no, this is bad energy, or this or that is too expensive, tax money, whatever the situation might be. But what I think people should be doing is getting your own situation in order, because they always screw everything up. They are never doing anything right, and we can't trust them. We can't rely on them. We should be using our own power source and have the grid as a backup. Now, that would be ultimate. That would be the best circumstance for anybody who could afford that. Mixed veggie can was 50 cents. Now it's 62 cents. That's 24% increase. 100%. Yeah, I agree with that. You look at a lot of these different places, see the price. To some people, they would say, well, you know what? It's a few extra cents, no big deal. But if you look at it in the percentage terms, it's a big jump. And that goes for all different types of products, doesn't it? They used to talk, like, for example, celery, for instance, was like this big trend. People were juicing up the celery. It shot the price up. Okay, or you get some sort of worm or bug or whatever it is that takes out a corn crop. So the corn prices go up. But today, everything is going up. Everything. Food prices, energy prices, shelter prices, name it, it's gone up. Except for gold and silver. And then, you got to try to figure out what the heck is going on. Underlying it, you see the Federal Reserve, the central banks around the world printing up the currency, keeping interest rates at zero, creates distortions, and that exacerbates the problems we have today. If interest rates were higher, a lot of our problems would not be there. But they don't want to talk about that. I'm going to stay on for about 5 more minutes. Can you do a live show only about energy and you just talk with a long introduction? Yeah, I don't know what... I could do a whole episode about it. I mean, I do cover a lot of information. What I do is I'm aggregating this data. But I was thinking about changing the channel with respect to the way that I give the information and actually have it written out, so that I could make sure to hit all the points. I don't like that because it takes a lot of time. If I don't get the line right, then I got to redo it. What the lighting wasn't right. There's more editing involved. It would probably increase the production value, and maybe it would bring in new people. Maybe. But anyway, that would be a way for me to kind of really make sure that I'm hitting all the points that I want to. It's just more difficult on my end. That's all. Regular gas, $3.16 a gallon here in Florida. If you go to some areas, I've heard people say it's $6 a gallon. If you go to Europe, you're going to be paying even much more than that, the equivalent of gallons. Will negative interest rates be good or bad now that inflation is on the rise? I think that negative interest rates, they don't work. They were very unsuccessful in Europe and Japan, yet they continue to do them. Except for, I think, Denmark actually brought it back to zero, I think it was. If I remember correctly, they reversed that policy. But it just doesn't work. It does not work. So I just don't think... Maybe they could do it. The Federal Reserve might do that, but it doesn't have any positive impact. Appreciate you being here. No, I don't have Discord. I've heard people tell me about that, but interview Monaco 64. I heard of this guy before. People have. I haven't done an interview in a while. The views on the interviews were absolutely terrible for whatever reason. So I kind of just put it off to the side. I'm going to be doing more interviews for sure. But at this time, I'm not too excited about it because of how poor the views were. Not that I care about views necessarily, but obviously less views means less people interested. So I want to bring the content that people are interested in. Hit the like button. He's worth it. Thank you for that. Can I predict you how deflation will happen? I'm a little confused, but I think you're asking if how will deflation happen? So right now there's this natural pulling down that's happening here, and they've tried to offset that by putting interest rates low, super low. And this creates this desire to get money to flood into riskier assets and get the whole system moving again. It's like a shot of adrenaline. And so they're trying this, but it's gone on way too long. So now there's fatigue and you're getting extremes. All of these different assets are elevated to levels we've never seen before. But ultimately, it can't last forever. This is detrimental overall. So I think that we could enter a period of potentially deflation before there is more inflation. Like, look how fast the market came down in March 2020, February to March 2020. It just fell down, just absolutely fell down. Why? Because asset valuations are way too high to begin with. So expect that the next time around. The next time there's a crisis, in a few days, the market's just going to tank. They'll probably have to halt the markets or particular stocks and so on. You're required to be hooked to the grid in Florida or they condemn your house. Is that real? I'm surprised at Florida being one of the places that they suggest that. That's not good. That's not good at all. Lebanese nationwide power outages are very common. Really? Like this? I don't know if it's been like this though. Where's the GPS sailing to? I'm on the ship. I went out for a stroll, and it's been 3 months. All right. If there's any last questions, I'll take those, or else I'm out of here. I just wanted to tell you that I appreciate the work you do and how much I've learned in the short time I've watched your channel. Keep up the excellent work. Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate that. It's been difficult fighting against the algorithms that clearly don't want to show my work out there. So I'm happy that you came on to my videos, which is awesome. I try to really distill this info down. I've really been trying to make it more concise and more, just make it easier to digest, because the stuff can be kind of dry sometimes, obviously. Appreciate you being here, and everybody else as well. Thank you. Hit that like. Same thing in Alabama. You can't go off grid. Very few states allow it. Utilities cartels want you in. That's terrible. But you can still have solar panels, and you could still, I can't tell people what to do. I think, let's just say, maybe some people might hook up to the grid and have a kill switch if they desire that. If things came to it and they wanted to, they could kill switch it, and then they can run in their own loop and be able to turn that on if necessary, whatever. What I heard was, I think it was maybe Ontario, but they basically said we were giving tax incentives and now we stopped the tax incentives because, well, we don't want too many people to go off grid because, well, then we can't afford the infrastructure. I love that. I think it's hilarious. It's just like, So in Toronto, Bell has all the phone lines. Okay, they put in all the phone lines. So right now, you try to get a landline phone, and you're literally paying Canadian dollars, like $50 Canadian for a basic phone line, because nobody has that phone anymore. So the infrastructure is becoming extremely expensive just to maintain, and they clearly want to get rid of it. They don't want to maintain it anymore and just call it a day. But it's just unbelievable to see how expensive the service has become as a result of nobody using it. So they got to milk the people who are still in it. Different story though. All right. I'm on Odyssey. I'm on Odyssey already. BitChute that didn't work, and the link to my channel did not work, and they basically said that they can't fix it. Do you think there's any risk of economic strain strong enough to power down America? I have a hard time seeing depression looking at the 1920s. It's going to be different, obviously. There's a lot of different factors, right? A lot of different things. But certainly because of the excesses right now, that means that usually what follows is terrible. So Roaring 20s, 1929, right? It's probably going to be devastating because people have taken on so much leverage. They've pushed themselves to the maximum for debt. If you have higher interest rates, if we enter an environment, this is the problem. Inflation goes up. It has to be met with interest rates that are also very high or moderately high. And when that happens, this entire thing that we're looking at right here, like this shipping, the economy, imports, exports are all relying on super low interest rates. What happens when they go up? You have devastating results. Devastating results because we have no firepower left. Imagine no firepower left because interest rates are all the way at rock bottom. And you've got they printed so much money. So you're already putting everything you have into this. And suddenly you have high inflation. What can you do? The only thing you can do is increase interest rates. Devastating. You will get kicked off of YouTube because they don't like anyone discussing things against their narrative. We must use all platforms. Yeah. That's why I try to keep it one layer deep. I think as soon as you go 2 layers deep or more, that's when you get problems. I also don't say certain words. I don't talk about certain topics. Not that I don't agree. Like sometimes I see comments, I agree with that comment, but I don't want to put a thumbs up on it or a heart on it because I know that that's being tracked back to my account. So that's just the way it is. You got to work within their system. I learned that a long while ago. Basic phone and internet cost me $140 a month in Canada. Oh yeah. And the funny thing is in Europe, you go to these old cities like Rome, and you can get a cell phone plan for literally like 1/10 the cost of what it would cost you in Canada. It's ridiculous. I'm off the grid right now. Satellite internet, no incoming connections. Been that way for 3 years. Awesome. Awesome. That's amazing. You put a heart on it. In response to going off grid, most places I know require you to be tied to the grid with active service that requires you to pay a fee every month, even if you don't use electricity. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I know that's the case. But the point is not like so you pay the $10 or you pay the $20, whatever it is, the connection fee. The point is you're not going to be relying on them. That's the point. I mean, they can still control you. We live in a world in which we have no freedom, no liberty, and so on. But what the point is, everybody around doesn't have power. You still have power. And that what you would want to is have that home optimal scenario. You have a home in the city. If you work in the city, you need to be there. That home hopefully is as off-grid or self-sufficient as possible, but you've also got a place that's out in cottage country that you can be a little bit more self-sustainable there, even more. And there's not so many people around. It's a rural area. You're safer and calmer and cooler and everything if the stuff hits the fan. But that's an optimal scenario. Not everybody can do that, right? $25 a month for a 5 gig cell plan in Mexico. Yeah, it's cheaper in Mexico than it is in Canada. Okay, I'm out of here. So tomorrow I will be doing this again. Definitely check it out. I will be back same time tomorrow. That's for Instagram. That's for YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Thank you all for being here today. Check out the video that I will post tomorrow. I don't know the topic yet, but definitely check it out. Don't forget about me, all right? I know you can be distracted with images of Janet Yellen and things. That gets me too. But ultimately, I got to come back to the focus, okay? I got to come back to the focus. So that's it for today. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.